Hey, good morning, or no, good afternoon, everybody. I'm losing track of what time it is anymore. What's happening, Mr. Mark BareNaked Willie?
Dave, it's 1 o'clock Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. We're still doing it.
We are still doing it, man. What is this, like week 12 for us? It is 11. Next week's 12. Can you believe it?
You
Can you
got
believe it? Actually, in theory, it's week 12 because we kind of did a top 10 in between there. But as far as guests go, right?
10. Well,
We did a short one before the fourth.
now you're making me question my timeline. Do you want me to read? Dave, are you challenging me to read all of our guests in order?
I am not. I'm going to say we better move forward because one of us is going to be wrong, and that doesn't look good.
The challenge, as a reminder, is at 50 episodes, I got to name them all. Right?
You know what? You're right. You're right.
That's the challenge.
I have a hard time remembering what I did yesterday, so I'll be really impressed if you pull that off.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Dave. You might have forgotten what you did yesterday, but I bet you remember what happened on Wednesday and on Monday and on Tuesday.
I always remember what happens on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I remember every day, actually Thursday. But there's just so much happening, and there's so much fun, and there's so much information to share, and that's what's so great about this. So, hey, Mark, guess what?
Guess what? What's up, Dave?
If I say Harris, dude, that was the best post ever. I think everybody loved it. I mean, everybody's like, I didn't even know what to say when I posted. I'm like, I don't even know what to say about this one.
Okay. Before we go down that rabbit hole, we'll do it in a second. I don't want to jump over Wednesday. No. Wednesday, you went for a modular site visit number 2. Right?
We did.
It ties in so well to today, and it's one of your passions. It's one of your soapbox. So we'll kick off with our guests in a minute, but that rabbit hole I'll go back to, Dave. I say building, you say science. Building.
Science.
Building.
Science.
Okay, that's enough.
Well, listen, I agree. You know, Wednesday was a big day. We were at West Islip, New York, Good Samaritan Hospital. If you're just tuning in, you know, you can watch that on YouTube. There's the link below in the ticker. But we were live streaming from 7,000 square feet of a hospital modular addition. And it was done. And everybody's tired of hearing me saying this, in 11 weeks. That is absolutely incredibly amazing, especially when you consider this was made out of steel and concrete and all the MEPs that have to go into a building. So I highly recommend if you don't really understand what modular is yet, or what level that modular can go to, that's a good video to watch because you will never believe it's a modular.
Not just that, but it was beautiful. So this is perfect for today.
It is.
We need to talk about modular. Do we have anyone that we could bring in as a guest and maybe help us out?
Well, there is this guy named Harris
Woodward.
Harris Woodward from Werks. Yeah, should we bring him in here? I bet he's standing back there just antsy. We should pick on him a little bit and then bring him in. He'll get all riled up in the background.
He's in the green room, Dave, and I think he's experiencing his water at the right temperature.
Yeah, but I think I forgot the green M&M, so he might be a little mad. Let's bring him in. Let's
do this right. I'll start the drum roll.
How are you guys doing? Good afternoon and morning to you.
Good afternoon and morning to you as well. Put you guys in good positioning here.
Thank you for the green M&Ms. You know what they do for you.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, I can
help you build green.
They help you build green. I love it.
Amongst other things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, everybody, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. How awesome is that? We're live on all 3 channels. And today is BS Friday, which actually works in 2 favors today because building science or building
systems.
There you go. Building science and building systems today. And today's going to be the clash of offsite construction meets building science. And Harris, I think what a lot of people don't know about Harris Woodward is you have been driving down this road for several years as kind of the leader in saying, you know what, we're building offsite, we're building modular. What in God's name is the matter with everybody else that they're not doing what I'm doing? And you took it to a whole new level.
Yeah. I mean, shall I tell you a little bit about my backstory?
Well, you know what? Since you asked, I mean, that was going to be our next question, but why don't you give us a little backstory? And I'm going to put up your banner here while you do it.
Okay, very good. So I'll speak to the banner. Some of you all might recognize the guy that is shaking hands. That's then Governor O'Malley, governor of Maryland, ran for president, didn't make it, but he recognized us for some green building back in 2009. I'm sitting in that blue screen room doing an interview with Mirror's Television talking about green building in 2012.
Wow.
There's good old Sam Rashkin at Retooling. I enjoyed meeting and working with him back in 2016, again in 2018.
Love it.
Yeah. Yep. So it started at an early age. There's a picture related to building systems. That's the Modular Home Builders Association board meeting in good old Hershey, Pennsylvania. And some of the chocolates. Yeah. That's me leaning backward, having fun with the photographer. This is one of Gary Fleischer's, a very popular, noteworthy gentleman that blogs all things modular.
Yeah, we know Gary.
Yep. He had a get together.
Coronado with you.
That's right. That's good old Tom with the cowboy hat. Can't miss him.
Love it.
Some other local builders.
Love it.
This was a great meeting. FEMA got together with some of us to discuss what's going on with the disaster housing recovery.
Sure.
And so FEMA contracted with MIT and invited us all to the CNN building in Washington, D.C. to talk about using modular in lieu of mobile so we could have permanent disaster recovery housing instead of temporary mobile homes. And you can see Mr. Ken Semler to the right.
Oh, yeah.
There's Devin Perry next to Ken.
Brian Gaudio's in there, it looks like, and some others. All right, some prominent.
That's right. The bottled water in the foreground is Tom Hardiman's. And then I'm in the back there with the arrow.
Yep. Got it.
Yep. And there's some other familiar faces.
So you've been doing this for a long time, and you've been invited to a lot of great places to talk and speak. And I think it's kind of great. Hey, that's me.
Yep, we know this guy. The top left picture is you early on.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a little early. What are you saying? I had more hair then and less gray?
No, you have Connecticut Valley Builders on your shirt.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this. So Harris, to give you a little background, why don't you just give us the story on what made the light tick for you to actually get into building energy efficient green modular? There's a lot of people tuning in, and we want to jump into this. So give us your little spiel on how this all came about, and then we're going to jump into the details with you.
Yeah. So I founded Finish Werks in 2004, and immediately fell in love with modular because I just backed into it. A friend of mine and I bought a property in Annapolis. And it was 2004, 2005. We were going to restore it, remodel it, flip it for profit. We tore open the walls and discovered we had a giant lemon. So we had to tear it down and rebuild it. And neither of us were builders at the time. And I researched and found modular. And despite our best efforts to screw it up, we threw up a nice custom modular home and made money on the job. But that was 2005. That's when anybody with a pulse could make money if you were looking. Then 2006, things were starting to take off. 2007, real estate crashed. And 2008, Wall Street crashed as well. So just when the Great Recession started and everybody in the small building world, whether modular or stick, and mind you, I'm in the Baltimore-Washington corridor, just when it hit and all the builders were racing to the bottom on price, I decided to differentiate Finish Werks by adding value to the product that we already had out there. Green. I totally went green. So the writing was on the wall. Oil was $140 a barrel. Gas was approaching $5 a gallon. I'm watching everybody up and down I-95 here trading in their SUVs for Priuses. And so it became automatic for me to go build the Prius equivalent of a house. And so in the modular world, I started checking the boxes for better insulation and better windows and specifying better heat pumps and reducing building loads. And we managed to survive where 75% of small builders, both stick and modular, collapsed. up until the recovery. So it has paid dividends. And now building green is so infused in what we do, we don't have to really think hard about it. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, everybody, Harris is going to have a tip that you guys can implement into building modular at the end of this show. So I just want everybody to know that one of the things that we're going to do is try and bring you even more value. And we're going to have some expert tips. So if you're joining in and you want to learn something new that you probably didn't know, because there's not a lot of people doing what Harris does. In fact, there's very, very little people that are doing what Harris does.
It's not hard, Dave. It's not hard.
You might be the only one out there doing this, Harris. I mean, who knows? Maybe you're going to be in the Book of World Records or something. But I think everybody should stick around if they want to hear that final tip on what you can do to improve what you're doing starting today. All right, Mark.
Hey, Dave, I got a tip.
Yeah.
How about while you're watching the show, you share it with some of your friends and hit that like button on YouTube for us.
There you go. I'm glad you brought that one in. Please hit like and share because we are trying to grow this channel. We are trying to bring knowledge. We are trying to bring awareness, and we can definitely change the way we build. It's not that hard. Harris is going to teach us how, if you're in the modular offsite world, how simple it can be. And it's not that simple. It took a lot of brain work, but it's simple if you listen to Harris.
Harris, you brought us down this journey, and you took us through the timeline that those in the industry experience the same thing. Those that have been around, like the rest of us. Not everyone in the construction industry, in the housing industry, or certainly in the green industry is familiar with what modular is. And since that's the forte of your business plan and what you do for the marketplace, can you give us your definition of what modular is?
Oh boy, modular is stick building indoors. It's as simple as that. And that should help us segue into our discussion about how actually easy it is to go high performance as opposed to difficult. And then I'm not the brainiac that Dave alleges me to be. So, but no, it's offsite construction. It's prefab. It's volumetric. It's modular. It's to me is a better way to build because it eliminates builder's biggest concern, risk. If you can eliminate your exposure to lack of cost controls and quality control, you're already ahead of the game, right? So modular is no different from any other stick building. It's not rammed earth. It's not the geodesic dome. It's the same sticks and bricks. It just happens to be built in chunks we call modules in a plant over there with a big roof over its head. Actually, there's some outdoor plants too. I've seen somewhere on the other side of the country. So
yeah,
it's not just the risks for the builders. It's the risks for the building materials. It's the risk for the financiers. It's the risk for the insurance. It's the risk for the health of the people inside of these buildings. And it's the risk of wasting materials and not getting performance and, as we know, precision with the product, the biggest product you'll ever buy in your life, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. It's risk mitigated across the board. And it's not a difficult concept to understand. I find ironic that as little as 5 or maybe 10 years ago, a lot of banks that were in construction lending wouldn't accept modular. They perceived it as mobile or HUD and they couldn't get out of their own way. Not that underwriters you could classify as a very esoteric, creative thinking bunch. Sorry to all you guys out there.
He wasn't talking about you, Tom Coronado. Don't worry.
But today it's a fool's errand not to look at modular because somebody like a Tom Coronado knows that when 95% by volume and weight, not by cost, of the home is showing up and gets stacked on foundation and is waterproof by nightfall, what's not to love? You've eliminated all that risk, which is what banks love to do.
So they have immediate
Jennifer's in the background, Dave. We have a new T-shirt. It's called Risk Busters. Right?
Risk Busters.
Oh, really?
And for all you on-site builders, your shirt will be Risky Business.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And you know what? What we're not talking about too is it also reduces the risk for the consumer.
Yes.
The consumer also ends up knowing that what they're putting into it is a lot more secure, because the big payments that show up typically in modular, some people want to call them curbside funding, or however you do your contracts with the banks. The banks are given money and they're happy to hand it over because of the mitigated risk, because 70%, 80%, 90%, depending on what the project is of the investment, they can see, they can touch, they can walk through. It's there. And that's a big part of this.
Yes, it is. Yep. And you're right, because all the, COVID-19 comes to mind. Indoor air quality is becoming a lot more prescient in conversation. Consumers understand what happens to lumber when it sits outdoors and gets wet. Spruce pine fir gets wet, then you sheathe it, then you run drywall. You just don't have that with modular, because all the lumber that they're putting into the modules of my home, their home, the Joneses' home, is dry. It hasn't touched the elements, and it's wrapped up. And then we take delivery, we unwrap it, and we weather tight it by nightfall.
Dave, I thought you said people had to tune in to the end to get a tip. And holy crap, I just filled up a page of notes with all tips.
Yeah. What are you doing? Writing with your beard? Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, listen, as modular's growing, as people like Harris are pushing the envelope, no pun intended on that, but as pushing different ideas and just doing what we should do, there's going to be a ton of tips for everybody, because some of this stuff is such common sense and just downright makes 110% sense, that anything that we say in this modular world to people that are tuning in is going to be valuable information. It really is, because, we're only 3-4% of the entire market. That means there's 96% of the world, or 96% of the U.S. market, who doesn't have a clue. So the odds of us giving some good information and education and people understanding not only this, but building science and healthy living, the odds are in our favor. We should go buy lottery tickets. That's what I'm saying.
There you go. I'm not buying. You are. Unless you left one in the green room back here, I better go check.
Right. So let's say hello to a few people. I see the comment section filling up over here. Let me click on it. Jen says most of that's her. She's saying hi to everybody over there.
Happy Friday, Jennifer.
So we got George Ryman. Good morning, George, from Phoenix, Arizona. Always tuning in.
It's always hot in Arizona.
Hawkins from Atlanta. What's happening, Rick? Always good to have you on. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, look who it is. Andrew Seeley tuning in from Texas. Y'all, it's another great BS Friday.
So we got hot Atlanta, we got hot Arizona, and we got hot Texas.
We do. And we got good old Buzz joining us. Hey, Buzz, what's happening? Afternoon, fellas, he says. Afternoon, fellas.
Is back in hot Grand Rapids.
And then we got Jude tuning in. What's happening, Jude? Good to see you today. Look, you went to YouTube, so you didn't have that LinkedIn debacle. Great job. Great picture, too.
Yeah, great picture.
Absolutely. Look at this character. Sean, say no more, right? Like the later start. How many coffees has Mark had today? Hey, we weren't that late. Were we late today? 30 seconds late, maybe. I love it. I love it.
3 coffees in front of me, Sean.
I know. Where's my coffee? There it is.
Vacuum sealed containers, just like our houses.
George Ryman says, "Hey, I think the new T-shirt should be. I think that I forgot the green M&Ms." Absolutely. So, and Jen did a shout out to Tom Coronado. Harris, one of the things we like to do is bring our guests into the show and chat with them, because without them, we don't really grow what we're doing. And a lot of these folks that are making comments and joining in on a regular basis, they're also experts in the industry and in their field. So it's a great connection point for everybody. So I highly recommend when you get off this call, reach out to them as well, because you'll be surprised the amount of content that all of these people share together. It's absolutely amazing. Yep, for sure. Yep. All right. So
Dave, if I may, I just want to touch on the 3 to 5% you mentioned earlier. That actually has a silver lining to it, that a lot of us in this business know each other, and networking is fantastic, because we're kind of the redheaded stepchildren in the corner, all hanging out together. And it really helps develop powerful, relationships that can help our business models.
All right. So Harris,
So I believe there's roughly 1.5 million permits issued annually in the U.S. And a lot of folks say, "What can we do? What can be done?" And Dave and I, we talk when we're not on the show as well.
Right.
And the truth is, we're not really targeting modular. We're not really targeting offsite and passive house and building science, because those folks are already going that direction. Mm-hmm. We're targeting the 95% that are not.
That's right.
And that's a huge number. That is a huge number. And I think that's a lot of green M&Ms to start making.
It is a ton of green M&Ms. And this is what's so great, Harris. And you said it just differently than I say it. And if you tune in, you'll find my soapbox is very similar to yours. Collaboration, joining forces, working together, sharing ideas is how we are going to grow this. I could understand everybody keeping their mouth zipped up if 99.9% of the world out there was building modular, but that is just not the case. Yeah. There's a lot of room to grow, and not only can, like I said, we can grow what we do modular, but offsite in general. And not only that, we can build healthy homes using better products than what's out there already. We just need to open our eyes and come together, and that's what the shows are all about.
Speaking of better products, right before we went to the questions, you started speaking about air quality. I noticed in our interview session last week, Harris, that you folks build all electric homes.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Hey.
No fossil fuels.
I had that one lined up ready for you. I knew that was coming. Yeah, absolutely. So listen, we're going to come back to the comments in a few seconds, but let's get into the meat and potatoes of this a little bit. And let's talk about, Harris, are you nuts building all electric homes? There isn't a soul out there that wants to buy an electric home. Sure. Maybe you aren't as smart as I thought. Help me understand.
I have my days. Well, I mean, first of all, when you build in a market like the Baltimore-Washington corridor, there's not a lot of land left, right? So, and now you've got this COVID-driven market force of people leaving the city and trying to get out into the urbs or suburbs, and you just aren't going to find natural gas out there. Nobody's going to get an oil tank furnace anymore. Well, there might be some exceptions around the country in New England. We don't have wood-burning furnaces here like they do up in Maine and Vermont. So our clients that want to build a green custom home are stuck with a propane bottle as their option because there's no nat gas. They're not going to get oil, and they're not going to chop down trees to heat their home. So on the other side of the coin is if you're going to get to all zero, and here's my shirt today, Zero Energy Builders, you can't offset fossil fuels with solar power or a wind turbine, right? So you gotta tell folks that if they really want that fireplace, get a little 100-pound propane tank and enjoy yourself. You're supposed to enjoy your home, right? But to the extent that you're going to heat your home, you're going to heat your water, and you're going to cook, get a conduction cooktop. The pans cost a little bit more. I know how you'd like to cook on flames, but your clothes dryer is not going to be gas or propane. That's out. We're all electric there. There's just too many arguments to go all electric in the entire home and do away with a contract for propane.
Yeah.
Or paying the utility company for nat gas and chopping wood. So that's my argument, and I'm sticking to it. If you're going to go to zero, go all electric, put another couple panels up there, and get to zero so you can live for free.
Well, I mean, so there's the zero, and that's kind of what we're going to get into today because electric's fairly expensive. No?
Depending on where you live.
Yeah. Right. So let's how do you get away with building a home that can actually produce a comfortable living environment with low heating and cooling costs and utility bills by going all electric? And that's kind of, I think, what we want to dive into here a little bit. What is the secret sauce to doing that? And somebody saying, seriously, dude, all electric? You want me to build a house that's all electric? Because that's what I would hear flat out of the bat. If I said, no, dude, we're going to put electric baseboard heat in your house, you're going to love it. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy.
No. So stop right there. Electric baseboard, like electric water heaters, are only 100% efficient. They have energy efficiency ratios of 0.93, right? It's the heat pump, baby. It's better than green M&Ms. So if you really want to have the discussion, it starts with the envelope, right? The number one energy consumer in the home is HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, right? So how do you reduce the loads? How do you reduce the tonnage of your heat pump or your air conditioner? And I'll remind you that there's no furnace here. There's no gas or propane. You make the envelope right. You spend a little bit more on the insulation. You spend a little bit more on the windows. You don't just get low E. You get super low E. You know, you check the box, because I'm in the modular world. It's like a menu for not just low E, but the low E version. It's got that additional hard coat film on the inside of one of the two glazings, for example. Once you spend a couple thousand on the envelope, and we're doing our load calcs, manual J on the heat pump, we're going from 3 tons on a largish house to 1.5. So now my electric costs aren't as high as they could be, because electricity is expensive, because my high performance heat pump is running 18,000 BTUs instead of 36,000, right? And first costs on the heat pump go down because it's smaller. So starts with the envelope, right? And then you can reduce the size of the heat pump that's all electric. And on that note, it doesn't have to be a builder grade heat pump that goes into auxiliary heat strips at 40 degrees, right?
Yeah.
They're making really good stuff out there. I mean, Carrier's partnering with Mitsubishi, and Fujitsu has come in, and Samsung and LG, and Trane, I think, has partnered with one of the big Japanese manufacturers. They're making heat pumps right now. And I'm not just talking about mini splits hung on the wall, that can produce their rated 1 ton of heat at negative 13 Fahrenheit. No aux strip, no heat strip. It's running heat pump at negative 13. And I was validated when I went on vacation up in Maine a couple years ago. And as I'm likely to do, ignore my family and look at new construction. I saw Mitsubishi's and Fujitsu sideways condensers hanging off houses in Maine. What does it tell you? It works. The heat pump works even in that climate zone. So going electric isn't that hard. The next big load is water heating. Don't do an electric water heater. Do a heat pump water heater. They're 3.5 times as efficient, with an energy factor of 3.5 to 3.7 instead of 0.92. It's an absolute no-brainer.
Let's talk about, Mark. I know. All right, so we're not using electric. We're using heat pumps. I get it. Let's talk about this building envelope for a second, right? Because it's the building envelope that makes those things work as efficiently to give you what you want, right? So getting back to this building envelope, Mark, your eyes lit up when we talked to Harris a little bit last week, when Harris said what he was doing. I'd like to hear your opinion on it, Mark. Introduce it, and then let Harris kind of take it and tell us what he thinks about how he came up with that idea.
That's exactly right. So it's the perfect segue. You created it yourself, Harris. So the next point we'll go over is going beyond code, and you gave Dave and I a play-by-play description of what your wall assembly is, and I'm going to let you describe it direct to the marketplace, direct to your future competitors, and direct to people that don't understand what code is. So take it away with your 2x6 story, my friend.
Oh, we're ready.
Thank you, Mark. All right. I have a little show and tell here, and I don't have a fancy camera that I can hear for you. I was asked to build this a while ago and take it on the road when I would speak, and it's pretty straightforward. It's a wall assembly. Now, Mark, I'd be lying if I told you this was a 2x6. It is a 2x8, because for a while there we were building 2x8. But it doesn't get any easier than this, folks. This is a section of wall with 2x studs 24 inches apart. Okay? There's the drywall on the inside. There's the junction box, receptacle box, and there's spray foam around the box. Admittedly, it's a little bit liberal there. And then we have sheathing, and then 1 inch of foam board. Excuse the showing off of the name brand there, but it is what it is. This we keep it as simple as possible in the modular world by just doing basic things, and that is spreading the studs out from 16 to 24, so there's less thermal bridging. Every other builder is going to have a stud right here. That's 50% more studs throughout the whole wall assembly, transferring heat right through. And you don't want that to happen. So 24 on center, you actually save money on lumber, and you have less thermal bridging. Then, to prevent more thermal bridging, you have that 1 inch of foam board. And we run 1 inch of foam board on top of the sheathing, all the way across the envelope, all the way around the whole outside of the home, including the gable end. So their attic is slightly insulated as well. And that's it. It's not rocket science. There's the side.
So for people that don't understand modular, their first framing, and I'm going to be reviewing everything, so it really drives the point home. They're framing 24 inches on center, and that's eliminating the extra studs. And then they're putting the drywall on, folks. It's the opposite of how we build on site. Once the drywall is put on, you saw that the foam continues all the way around as their air seal. And then the next step is they're putting on the bat insulation, something you didn't express today.
Yeah,
and then it goes to the sheathing, and then the continuous foam, because we're all afraid of thermal bridges, right? Thermal bridges make buildings fall down. So I think it's amazing that you guys are able to use the fiberglass bat. And so I want to give you credit for that, because I've spent most of my career kind of bashing that kind of stuff. And the difference is the installation. The way in which you folks install it is impeccable, right? So it's done in a factory. It's done as a process. It's not just something that's thrown in so that your drywall can cover it up. It's done as a process, because that allows for the true U values, a good R value versus a fake non-effective R value. So that's what's calling for this transition of low energy costs, because your building is not heating up or cooling the way other buildings are. And I give you much credit to the workers and the crew and the attention to that detail. And I think the next step that the folks need to know is understanding the penetrations and how all this is controlled in the factory. So a lot of respect needs to be had on that detail.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things, Harris, that you were also mentioning is it's how you're installing this bat insulation, right? Let's talk about how it's traditionally done, and then tell us why the way you're using bat insulation and the installation process that you're using is superior and allows you to get the energy efficiency and the building envelope tightness that Mark is alluding to. And I think people will really understand it if you explain it.
Sure. So I have some more show and tell. Here's a fiberglass bat right here in a box. Let me grab a pen. So what Mark was referring to which is the horrible crushing of the fiberglass bat. For example, here's the bat in the wall. The electrician runs his wiring and compresses it. So all of a sudden, you've got a bat that's not doing its job because energy is conducting right through the fiberglass fibers. Doesn't work, right? In the modular factory, because it's a controlled environment, when they hang this, when they put this bat in between studs and they staple up the craft or glue it or whatever they're doing these days, you get a class 1 hang. And, Sam Rashkin, the folks at Energy Star, DOE, they'll tell you all day long a class 1 hang is the only way to put in fiberglass bats. And that's, Mark had a history of bashing fiberglass bats because it was the install, stupid. It wasn't the bat itself. It was the way it was put in. So It's real easy and very, very cost effective to take an off-the-shelf product like this, put it in between the studs in an off-site manufacturing environment where the wind isn't blowing, the guys aren't getting rained on, and you can get that class 1 hang without failure.
Can you explain what a class 1 hang is to the audience for us real quick, Harris?
Yeah, it's been a while since I went through all the training, Dave, but I think, I don't know who the entity is that came up with class 1, 2, and 3 hangs, but class 3 is miserable. Class 2 is a little bit better.
Right.
It might be that there's gaps in a class 3 and crushes by the wire. Where's my camera? Class 2 is a little bit better. Class 1 is it fits the cavity as it was intended and not doing this and getting smashed by wires or plumbing.
If it looks like you're ready to go out on the town, it's class 1. If it looks like I did it, it's like class 7. So one of the reasons I bash it is because I've installed it wrong, right? I think we're all guilty of that in site building, but in the factory setting, that's why we're talking modular. We're eliminating the risk and we're improving the situation so that we aren't taking more time. We're using our time correctly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. 100%.
QC it in the factory. They're humans putting it in, and until somebody like Elon Musk gets involved, and then it'll be robots. But yeah, it's a heck of a lot easier to QC it in a manufacturing environment than it is out in the field. And I want to emphasize again, Mark, that what the point you made on air infiltration, because we make the analogy all the time to folks that you can spend $400 on that North Face parka, right? Nice, expensive coat. If you leave the zipper down, you got nothing, right? Cold air is going right through. So it's really key that you have that closed cell foam sealing up all the penetrations in the exterior wall. You don't get to do that on site.
No.
You do that in a factory where the whole wall is getting drywall first, no sheathing. And then you can go in and back spray all those penetrations for your ductwork and range hood vent and so forth. So
building inside out with dry kiln lumber.
That's right.
The other part that people didn't hear is because of how you insulate and because of how you put the foam in addition to that your units are an R26 wall assembly. And the building code in your market for the wall is an R what?
R20 or 18 plus 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a continuous R5, right? You have 1 inch.
Right.
And then you have an R21 bat.
Yep.
And
right.
Yep. I love it. So going beyond code, folks, what that means is every year, like Vancouver has the step code, every year the code is increasing. So if you're building a house today, do you plan on living there for 6 years or do you plan on living there for a long time? So prepare for the codes that are coming or find someone like Harris that's already 3 code levels ahead.
Yeah. Building beyond code. Hey, listen, guys, there's a whole lot of conversation going on. So I know we're geeking out here on insulation and building envelopes and codes, but I think there's some comments we probably should get to. We're about 42 minutes into our show. So let me just go up here. I got to scroll up and get some stuff. Mark, there's some, I saw earlier, there was a really good comment about your beard.
Yeah.
Did you see that comment from Jude?
I think that comment was from Harris. Didn't you say I look like someone?
Was it Harris? Oh, here it is.
Oh, man.
Okay, Mark has a great looking beard. Can't see well groomed like that every day from where I'm from. That's kind of funny.
I got my hand up, Dave. Can I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Steve Schmidt, Republican consultant, Steve Schmidt. That's Mark. That's Steve Schmidt with a beard.
Yeah.
Anybody watching, tell me I'm wrong. That's Steve Schmidt.
I love it. All right.
The last person says it's well groomed. Dave, I think I had about 3 pounds of sawdust in my beard right before we went on the air. I had to take the air hose.
Blow it out. I love it. All right, Grace Hardiman. Hello from Modular Home Builder Association. Hey, what's happening, Grace? That must be the Tom Hardiman.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thanks for joining us. Where's Tom?
It looks like Tom's watching the Cowboys from what I can tell.
Yeah, it looks like the Cowboys. Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, Grace. Love it. All right, man. everybody's commenting a lot here. I'm having a hard time going up the road here. Rick Hawkins wrote, tight envelopes lends itself to all electric.
That's right.
Right?
Way to go.
All right.
That's right.
Al, the key is and will be more efficient building envelopes.
Yep.
You said it, Al.
Our good friend Jenny Kelleher from Build with Rise. If our goal as a society is to get off fossil fuels and move to clean, renewable source of energy, going all electric is 100% necessary. The grids will modernize and move to better sources of energy eventually. Let's be ready for it.
I think that's a T-shirt, Jenny.
If
I just don't know if we have a T-shirt large enough.
Yeah.
We come from a place of business and risk abatement and these kinds of terms. The other benefits that don't lend themselves to business, to ROI, are climate, and thinking about sustainability and resourceful uses of building materials, and she's right. She's right. There's so much upside beyond saving $1 from your local utility to building better,
Absolutely.
Why save $1 when you could save hundreds of dollars a year on energy costs, right? Save hundreds. Don't save one.
Right. All right. Here's a question from Jennifer. Wonder who she is. Harris Woodward, what is your go-to window? What do you recommend builders spec if they're building net zero home? And I'm going to add modular.
Okay. So this gets into diminishing returns, right? Passive house, I've always had a beef with, because in our mixed climate, we don't have enough delta T. We don't.
Bring it on. I'm going to give you front and center now. Go for it.
All right. So here we go. So what was the question again?
I will put it up. What is your window of? Here it is. Look on the screen.
Yeah. So years ago, I did a double offset wall with my preferred go-to modular factory. It was 2x4s staggered inside and outside. We did a whole bunch of closed cell foam in the thing, and then we packed out the studs with bats. And we spent quite a lot of money making this wall assembly passive house-esque. It was like R45, or at least on our way to passive house, right? And then in retrospect, anecdotally, because we never had hard data, the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze. It was, they could have spent all of that money that was spent on this super exotic wall assembly on a couple more PV modules, a little bit more solar PV. And that's what I mean about diminishing returns, particularly in Maryland. And I'm not talking about 0 degree Calgary or Maine. Since we don't experience huge delta T like those other climates, we can stop insulating somewhere around 30. And with modular, you can go further, because with modular, we're much better at extracting more R value out of off-the-shelf building materials. So maybe you can go to R40, but at some point you got to put that money up on the roof, because you can only. There was a study I read years ago that looked at R100 in the attic versus like R30 or something, and depending on climate zone, there was the curve of savings just fell off a cliff to the point where, hey guys, let's stop blowing $2,000 on a passive house spec window and start putting it up on the roof. So Jen, my go-to, let me speak for any builder. It's depend on where you build in the country. Out west, they're going to be looking at prefab and more casement. Out east, we're going to be more double hung and colonial style. So, and then you've got suppliers and geography connected to cost. So in my area, I like to do a casement, because casements, by their very design, seal shut. There's no loss of air between sliding sashes. They cost a couple of more bucks than a double hung. And I like to get the best 2-pane window possible. It's got the hard coat and the soft coat, low E. Triple pane, I'm hoping for it to come down some more. Remember the big push for R5 windows from DOE or Energy Star, which is what, a U factor of 0.2. I'm just not getting the price points that I need to justify going to that third glazing. So 2 in Maryland is doing pretty darn well for us, again, because we just don't have the delta T.
I'll save the passive house rebuttal for a different time, but when I have a choice, Harris, I like to use casement as well. I also really enjoy fixed windows.
Yeah.
I think they're great. I'm bringing in enough makeup air continuously. But I know people like to open their windows, so at certain times an awning window is also a nice benefit. So I like the fact that you cover all those spectrums and put that forward. And for all the folks, I want them to understand it's not just which window to choose, because you can give me a vinyl replacement double hung window and I can install that sucker like a gem, and I could get a very good air sealing on my building, or I could get a real nice tilt and turn heavy duty triple pane and I can install it like a jackass and have an air leak. So it's important to know it's not just the product, it's the craftsmanship, it's the flashing, it's using the right tapes, the right caulk, and the right installation. Installation.
Absolutely. All right, listen, guys, we're at 49 minutes. Let's get through a couple more comments here, and then we got to wrap up with our tips and everything. So, oh boy, Joe Butler is going to cover us up. This is going to take me a while, so bear with me as I read through this. All right, is platform framing the best way to build high-performance single and multifamily homes? How about using balloon framing to create continuous envelope on the exterior walls and push the large thermal mass of the floor and ceilings, especially in multifamily, to the inside of the wall? Can we look deeper into building systems, especially for modular multifamily, to drive value-added subassembly and performance efficiencies?
Yeah, that's a doozy. There's a whole lot of answers there. I understand balloon framing, but what's happening is typically people are doing more platform framing now than balloon framing because you don't have the studs that you used to have. But we can answer your question in the comments. I think that's a little different for modular. And if you're doing multi-unit in a modular, it's already, you're done. It's not a balloon framing answer.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right, moving on. We'll get back to you, Joe, in the comments. Mark, you going to handle that one?
Yeah, I'm going to handle that one on Saturday morning while I'm watching Coffee with Dave.
Love it. Hey, that was a good plug, Mark. Thank you. Love you, man. All right, Rick Hawkins, FYI, Habitat for Humanity trains and requires Class 1 hang for installation for all their projects. Well, that's good to know. That is.
Bullshit.
All right, moving on. All right, installation of the materials. Let's see. Jennifer wrote, installation of the materials just as important as choosing the right materials. That's a very good comment. And as we move down, Joe Butler again. Mark, it's a shorter one. We can see our faces. Hey, Joe. Mark mentioned BC step code. British Columbia has created a blueprint for others how to move architects, engineers, builders, and supply chain to higher performing solutions while adapting code and bylaws to mandate the change.
Take HUD, take ICC, take IRC, put them all together, give us step codes. I don't care if you're building on a chassis. I care that you're building beyond code. Enough of this garbly gook that every town has to have their 2 cents. We need to produce these in scale. We need to produce them beyond code. And that's what Harris is telling us today. Beyond code is the answer, so go off site. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The rest of that can sit in the trash pile.
Absolutely. Listen, hey, Mark, do you know how many houses are needed as of today in this country?
Needed.
One.
6 or 7
times 1 million homes. It's already a proven track record that the traditional site builders can't do it. How, if they could, we wouldn't have a 1 million home deficit.
And the other point is, if you're building those 1 million homes, right, there's embodied energy that's coming with that.
Yeah.
And there's energy costs coming with that. So if you built those homes the way they started to in Sweden in 1970, get a book, read it. We're going to use less energy, and those buildings are going to be around. So when we do this, we're going to do it, and Harris is going to lead the charge, and I'm right there next to you.
Let's go, Harris. I'm going to have a Viking hat next time for you.
Please.
All right.
You
All right.
on the horse too.
Okay, let's get back into this here. And Harris, one of the things we're talking about is high performance can be off the shelf. And that's exactly what you were doing essentially with modular, is taking a product that already exists and saying, hey, I want less studs, I want a class 1 hang, and I want 1-inch foam insulation on the outside, and you better seal it real tight around the corners with some spray foam insulation. Yes?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So I had a mentor back when I was greenifying my business tell me
T-shirt
07, 08, and he loved his green M&Ms.
Yeah.
No, he was NCARB, lead AP. I mean, he was one of these guys that just knew it all. But he also had a crystal ball, because it told him that lead would fall down and as being a popular certification for residential and increase in commercial. And this was some 12 years ago. This guy was telling me this. So he said, Harris, don't go out and get your lead AP. Just go get, NAHB's Master Certified Green Professional. Study, read some more, master your craft. Because I'm here to tell you, me and my peers with lead AP and our little business card get to charge $150 an hour to tell people how to build their homes better when it's already there in front of you. So yeah, basic materials. I've built with rock wool, done the closed cell foam in the cavities. I almost did zip one time, a little bit pricey. But I'm here to tell you that you just go back to the basics. This stuff's been around for a long time. It's not real healthy foam. This is extruded polystyrene. EPS expanded might be better.
Yeah.
I think you can buy into that. But my point is this. A little bit of fiberglass, a little bit of foam for a thermal break across the top. In the case of modular, seal everything up with spray foam. And before you know it, you have a very simple, cost-effective way to get to HERS 40 before any renewable energies. And that's how our houses are scoring. And if anybody doesn't know what HERS is, it's the de facto mileage standard for homes. So just a little bit of more goodies on the wall, a little bit better windows. Sorry, no triple glazing.
No triple glazing.
Heat pump, high performance heat pump water heater, LEDs up in the ceiling, and make sure the client specifies Energy Star homes. And we're hitting between HERS 38 and HERS 42. All of a sudden, getting to zero is that much easier because we're only HERS 40.
I like how you said that you were so excited, and it seems like you used that in your pitches before. It was like Randy Savage. You said LEDs up in the ceiling.
I love it. I love it.
Remember it was CFLs, those obnoxious things that would never get bright in Calgary until they were on for an hour? Yeah.
Well, we always put in incandescent bulbs in Chicago because it kept your closets warm in the winter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's 100% effective radiant heat right there.
All right, so listen, we have 3 questions left, Mark. One being Harris is, what is your favorite quote? The second question is going to be, what's the stupidest thing you've ever seen? And the third is going to be, what is the tip that you can give everybody watching our show today that they can implement in their homes, their construction, their builds? And you've already covered them all probably, but what's the one thing that people can take away from this show and put into action right now to help our environment, help our building, and drive what we teach here? So first question, favorite quote. What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is questions are the answer. But my favorite quote truly is, you always have to ask yourself, whether you're a consumer or builder, building what will be that family's biggest investment of their life, is the juice worth the squeeze? That's it. Is the juice worth the squeeze? So how do you translate that into something actionable? It goes to my favorite tip for consumers or builders.
All right.
Math. Find out if the juice is worth the squeeze. So every month we, with mortgages, have to make a mortgage payment, and then we have to make a utility bill payment, right? So I'm always telling my guys, and to the extent I have a soapbox out there, let's ask the borrower, the client, to put more money into their mortgage, okay? And you can go right to Google and get a mortgage calculator. and say, all right, how much is $10,000 more per month? Plug in 3%, 3.5%, 30-year mortgage, right? This is the math. And you find that to the extent that monthly mortgage payment's gone up like this, your utility bill, which was here before, has now come down like this. So remember back in the day, and maybe even still today, people used to talk about ROI on solar. Yeah, how long is it going to take for me to pay off this $20,000 thing on my roof, right? Is it 7 years, 5 years? Well, since we don't pay cash for our homes, I'm saying do the math. Get your mortgage calculator out. Find out how much it's going to cost you on a monthly basis to get a good wall assembly, a very good wall assembly, good heating and cooling systems, such that your utility bill comes back down. Now the juice is worth the squeeze. You're cash flow positive month one, because I charge you $150 a month more to build that house, but you're saving $200 a month on your utility bills. You're already 50 ahead of the game. Oh, and by the way, it's more comfortable. There's no cold spots. Indoor air quality is better, and durability. You're not going to have to take care of a home that's built right.
Sure sounds like Passive House to me, brother.
Yes, it does, except that I'm X.1. You're 2X.
Absolutely.
I have a challenge for you, Harris. On Tuesday, Dave and I have a friend up in Brooklyn named Michael Ingui. And he's always talking about Passive House. He's an architect, and he's going to be giving a little talk on Tuesday. Of anyone that I've ever heard talk about Passive House from the architect side, I want you to check out what he says, Harris, because he doesn't preach Passive House the way it's commonly done. He talks to people about quiet, comfortable places. So I think you'll enjoy it. He's not in the modular world, and as far as I know, he's not even in the site built for the most part. He targets historic buildings because New York is covered in them.
Yeah,
so
he's a guy for sure. Yeah, I mean, there may be a point, Mark, where we're putting TJIs in the modular flooring rigs instead of 2x8s or 2x6s. You can take a 14-inch TJI sideways and put it in a platform and do modular passive. It's all about the thickness of the wall. So.
Love it.
Awesome.
All right, Mark, what do we have? We gotta end it right here. I'm getting close on time. Mark, we could do this forever. What's coming up next week? I put it on the screen. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we got going on?
So Green Building United and Illinois Green Alliance, our friend Katie Kaluzny is joining us. So this is the 4th or 5th annual New Gravity Housing Conference, and it's always been in Pittsburgh, and this year they elected it to be in Chicago. With everything going on with the coronavirus, they had to change it to a virtual event, which is exciting because now we all get to use less carbons, right? We're not flying around these goofy airplanes. We're using less carbons. We're all able to attend virtually, and the kickoff for this is next Friday on BS Friday.
Right here on BS Friday with Mark BareNaked ladies. I almost said BareNaked Wille and Dave Cooper. So Harris, man, really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for all the knowledge.
Thanks for having me. Yeah,
it was absolutely amazing, and thanks to all of our audience out there for all the support. Please like and share, and send people to that YouTube channel. We'll see you next week on BS Friday.
Thanks, Mark. Peace.